I once believed the most unbearable part of family gatherings was Mother Anya's notoriously dry pot roast. How naive I was. The true torment lay in the silent agony of watching her dismantle me piece by piece, an audience of friends and relatives bearing witness, while I, the dutiful daughter, offered only a placid smile and a nod. After years away, finding my own path as an elementary school teacher, I thought I was finally becoming the woman I was meant to be. Yet, every family dinner, every community event, every mundane trip to the market became another stage for Mother Anya to broadcast my supposed inadequacies to anyone within earshot. From my earliest memories, a pattern emerged. Sharp criticisms delivered in public, my shortcomings openly dissected with neighbors while I stood frozen beside her. The constant, gnawing sensation of never quite measuring up. I remember vividly a parent-teacher conference, the air thick with the scent of chalk and old paper, as Mother Anya shook her head at Miss Davies, lamenting my careless handwriting. "I don't know where she gets it from," she'd declare, as if my child self were invisible, deaf to every wounding syllable. Gracefield Chapel, a place meant for spiritual solace, became another arena for her performances. Every Sunday after the service, amidst the clinking coffee cups in the fellowship hall, she'd seek out a fresh ear for my latest failing. There was the time I'd forgotten to practice piano, and she spent 20 minutes detailing my lack of follow-through to Elder Maeve. Or the incident with the B+ in chemistry, recounted to 3 different church ladies as a damning indictment of my lack of discipline, while I clutched her purse, desperate to vanish. Every success I achieved was immediately qualified, every triumph measured against her impossible ideal. Acceptance into a university with a scholarship was met not with congratulations, but disappointment that I hadn't aimed for more prestigious institutions. Graduating with honors in education elicited only her public musings about my limiting career choice. College offered a fragile reprieve. Living away from home, I discovered a world free from relentless judgment. My friends saw humor in me, professors valued my work. I dated men who genuinely enjoyed my company. For the first time, I felt normal. But the harsh realities of student loans and a new teacher's salary eventually drew me back to her orbit. I told myself it was temporary, a stepping stone to independence. Years later, I was still there, still tethered, still listening to Mother Anya explain to anyone who would listen why I wasn't living up to my potential. The encounter with Eleanor Vance at the grocery store was a familiar sting. Within minutes, Mother Anya had masterfully woven in commentary about my unfortunate attire, my failure to secure a husband, and her grave concern that I was squandering my education on elementary school students rather than pursuing something more ambitious. Eleanor Vance, cart brimming with frozen dinners, offered only sympathetic glances while I feigned absorption in cracker labels, my mother's voice growing louder, more fervent. Walking back to the car, a tremor of defiance stirred within me. For a fleeting instant, I considered confronting her, but the moment passed, and I sank into the passenger seat, silent as always. Father Julian, bless his heart, had perfected the art of strategic disappearance during these episodes, always finding an urgent errand in another aisle or a pressing project in the yard. I once thought he simply didn't notice, but I was beginning to suspect he was just as lost in her storm as I was. Maplewood Elementary became my sanctuary, a fortress against the constant erosion of my spirit. Stepping through those doors, I transformed. Here, I was Miss Alara, the teacher who turned math into an adventure, who stayed late for struggling readers, whose classroom bloomed with student art and motivational posters that, ironically, motivated me too. The contrast was stark. At school, I was confident, creative, respected. Parents praised my impact on their children's lives. Principal Embarrass, a mentor and friend, championed my leadership. I had even won the district's Innovative Teaching Award. Yet, the moment I returned home each evening, the confident educator would shrink, replaced by the uncertain daughter who could do no right. It was a double life, one thriving, the other suffocating. My students, Leo, Chloe, Sam, they saw me as someone worthy of trust, someone who believed in them. Their parents offered gratitude. Principal Embarrass showcased my classroom. My methods were becoming models for new teachers. And still, every evening, I drove home to become the disappointing daughter. The cruel irony was not lost on me. Strangers' parents treated me with more respect than my own mother. Ms. Rivera had embraced me at the last conference, calling me the teacher she'd always wished for her son. The Millers had specifically requested me for their younger daughter. But when I tried to share these victories, Mother Anya would find a way to diminish them. "It's basically babysitting," she'd scoff at my award. "Anyone can read stories to children." My principal's praise for innovative lessons was met with, "Too bad teachers don't make real money. You could have been doing something important." The relentless disconnect began to fester, eating away at my soul. How could I be so valued by the world, yet feel so worthless under my mother's gaze? I confided in Principal Embarrass, who listened with growing alarm. "Ilara," she said gently one afternoon, "what you're describing isn't normal or healthy. You are an incredible teacher and a wonderful person. If someone in your life consistently makes you feel otherwise, that's about them, not you." Her words resonated, but I wasn't ready to fully grasp their weight. Instead, I buried myself deeper in work, delaying my return home, putting off another evening of veiled critiques and disappointed sighs. The chasm between my thriving professional self and my stifled personal self widened. Then came Noah. He taught 4th grade in a neighboring district, and we met at a training workshop. He was kind, insightful, and understood the nuanced world of teaching in a way no non-educator ever could. Our early dates were a revelation. Coffee turned into hours of conversation about students, philosophies, dreams. He traveled the world, backpacking through Europe, volunteering in rural schools, and his stories expanded my own horizons. I was eager to introduce him, convinced that a boyfriend, an educated, employed, responsible man who clearly cared for me, would finally earn Mother Anya's approval. I should have known better. The first tremor of her disapproval came when I casually mentioned Noah's salary. Teachers in his district earned slightly less than in mine, a detail Mother Anya seized upon like a hawk. "So he makes even less than you do," she declared, as if it were a terminal flaw. "How do you expect to build a future with someone who can't even support himself properly?" I explained Noah lived comfortably, that we both loved our careers, but she simply shook her head, dismissing me as naive. "Love doesn't pay the bills, Ilara. You need to think practically." The June barbecue was my desperate attempt to prove her wrong. Noah was there, along with his parents, Richard and Carol, retired teachers themselves, warm and genuinely lovely. They brought homemade salsa and tales of 40 years of marriage, and I believed everyone would adore them. The afternoon began beautifully. Noah helped Father Julian with the grill. His parents mingled easily, sharing stories. I felt a rare sense of peace, watching Noah integrate seamlessly. But as the afternoon wore on, Mother Anya's commentary began its insidious creep. Subtle observations about teaching's challenges, pointed remarks about young couples struggling on education salaries. Richard and Carol listened politely, but confusion shadowed their eyes as Mother Anya's tone sharpened. The conversation that shattered my fragile hope happened as we were clearing dinner plates. Mother Anya, seemingly oblivious to our proximity, spoke to Carol about Noah and me. "I worry about Ilara's choices," she declared, her voice carrying across the yard. "She's always been drawn to these idealistic pursuits instead of thinking about practical matters. Teaching is fine as a hobby, but two teachers trying to build a life together, that's just setting themselves up for struggle." Carol's response was graceful but strained. "We've always found teaching quite fulfilling," she said carefully. Noah and Ilara both seemed passionate about their work. "Passion doesn't pay for houses or children," Mother Anya retorted, loading the dishwasher with unnecessary force. "I keep hoping Ilara will wake up and realize she needs to aim higher. She's smart enough, but she keeps making these limiting choices." I watched Noah's expression shift, the easy comfort replaced by something unreadable. His parents exchanged a look that spoke volumes. Later that evening, after his parents had left, Noah quietly asked if I was all right. "Your mom seems to have some strong opinions about our relationship," he observed, concern lacing his voice. I found myself defending her, making excuses about her wanting the best for me, her protectiveness. But the words felt hollow. Noah listened patiently, then asked a question that echoed in my mind for weeks. "Ilara, do you think she's right about us?" I assured him she wasn't, but the seed of doubt had been planted. Over the following weeks, Noah became more cautious, less spontaneous. He politely declined invitations to family events. Mother Anya, predictably, cited his distance as proof he wasn't serious. If he really cared, she'd declare, he'd make more effort to be part of his family. The irony was lost on her. My friend Maya witnessed one such exchange and was visibly stunned. After Mother Anya left the room, Maya turned to me, eyes wide. "Ilara, this isn't normal," she whispered. "The way she talks about you, about your choices, about Noah, it's like she's actively trying to undermine your happiness." I'd never heard anyone articulate it so bluntly, and the words hit me like a physical blow. They also felt undeniably true, in a way that terrified me. Thanksgiving dinner became the breaking point I hadn't anticipated. Uncle Ben and Aunt Sarah were visiting, along with my cousin Valerie, newly engaged to Dr. Alex Chun, a pediatric surgeon. The comparison was inevitable, a dreaded specter. The day began with Mother Anya's familiar rhythm of criticism veiled as helpful suggestions. My homemade dinner rolls, perfected over months, were a little dense. My new deep green dress, chosen for sophistication, washed me out and was too young for someone your age. By the time relatives arrived, my confidence was already fractured. Valerie glowed, her engagement ring sparkling, sharing wedding plans. I was genuinely happy for her, but I could feel Mother Anya's eyes on me, constantly measuring my life against my cousin's apparent success. Dinner conversation flowed until Mother Anya expertly steered it towards comparisons. "Valerie's fiancé is doing his residency at Children's Hospital," she announced proudly, as if his achievements were her own. "Such an important career. He'll be able to provide so well for their future." Valerie looked uncomfortable, but Mother Anya was just warming up. "It's wonderful to see young people making smart choices about their futures," she continued, her gaze sweeping across the table to find mine. "Some people understand the importance of planning ahead." Uncle Ben attempted to redirect, asking about my teaching, but Mother Anya intercepted. "Ilara's still figuring things out," she sighed, a profound disappointment in her tone. "Still living at home, dating a teacher who can barely support himself. I keep hoping she'll realize she needs to aim higher." The table fell silent. Aunt Sarah stared at her plate. Father Julian continued eating, a ghost in his own home. Valerie shot me a sympathetic look that somehow made everything worse. "Mother," I said quietly, a plea to stop the inevitable escalation. But she wasn't finished. "I mean, look at Valerie. Same age, engaged to a doctor, planning a beautiful future. Ilara could have had similar opportunities if she'd made better choices, but instead, she's playing with children all day and dating someone with no ambition." Uncle Ben cleared his throat. "Teaching is a noble profession," he offered diplomatically. "Of course it is," Mother Anya replied, waving a dismissive hand. "But let's be realistic about the limitations. 2 teachers together? That's a recipe for financial struggle. I raised Ilara to think bigger than that." I excused myself to the bathroom, collapsing onto the tub's edge, silent tears streaming. The humiliation was overwhelming, but worse was the chilling realization. This wasn't normal. Normal mothers didn't systematically dismantle their children in front of family. Normal families didn't sit in uncomfortable silence while one person was verbally flayed. When I returned, the conversation had moved to safer topics, but the damage was done. Valerie found me later. "I'm so sorry about dinner," she whispered. "That wasn't fair to you at all. For what it's worth, I think you're amazing, and teaching is incredibly important work." Her kindness meant everything, confirming what I was beginning to understand. Even our extended family saw the pathology in my mother's treatment. The week after Thanksgiving, Noah asked to talk. We met at a coffee shop, and his expression told me everything. He was gentle but firm. "Ilara, I care about you deeply, but I can't continue in a relationship where I'm constantly being criticized and undermined by your family." I tried to protest, to assure him Mother Anya's opinions didn't matter, but he stopped me. "It's not just about me," he said. "It's about watching someone I care about being treated so poorly and not knowing how to help. You deserve so much better than what you're accepting." After he left, I sat in my car for an hour, finally confronting the truth. This wasn't about Noah lacking strength. This was about me lacking the strength to protect those I cared about from my mother's toxicity. That evening, Mother Anya's reaction to the breakup was predictably vindicated. "I told you he wasn't right for you," she said with satisfaction. "You're better off without someone so uncommitted." The rage that had simmered for months threatened to erupt. But I held it back. Instead, I started researching apartments online, calculating escape. Something had to change. And if I couldn't change her, I would change my situation. Sunday morning at Gracefield Chapel had always been Mother Anya's preferred stage. She would dress meticulously, projecting an image of respectability and success. I'd grown up understanding that for her, church wasn't just worship, it was about being seen by the right people, maintaining our family standing. That particular Sunday in December, I'd chosen a new navy blue dress, professional yet stylish. I felt confident looking in the mirror. The feeling evaporated the moment we reached the church parking lot. "That dress makes you look heavier than you are," Mother Anya declared, her voice carrying across the asphalt. "And the color is too dark for your complexion. You need to choose more flattering styles." Elder Maeve, the pastor's wife, a woman who had always been kind and praised my work with the children's Sunday school, turned to look, her expression revealing clear discomfort. Inside the sanctuary, Mother Anya continued her whispered commentary during the prelude. "Sit up straighter and smile. You look so serious all the time. No wonder you can't keep a boyfriend." The service offered a brief respite, but I dreaded the fellowship hour that followed. 30 minutes of social interaction, 30 minutes of opportunities for Mother Anya to broadcast my shortcomings to anyone willing to listen. My fears were realized. Within 10 minutes of entering the fellowship hall, she had cornered Elder Maeve and 2 other prominent church ladies near the coffee station. I stood nearby, nursing a cup of weak coffee, listening to her familiar routine. "I just don't know what to do about Alara," she sighed, her voice perfectly pitched to sound confidential while ensuring I heard every word. "Still making such poor choices. The teaching thing is fine for now, but she needs to think about her future." Elder Maeve's discomfort visibly deepened. "Alara's work with our children's program has been wonderful," she said diplomatically. "The kids adore her." "Oh, she's good with children," Mother Anya replied, waving a dismissive hand as if this were somehow a damning admission. "But that's not a real career for an adult woman. She should be thinking about marriage, about finding someone who can provide properly for a family. Instead, she was dating that other teacher until recently. I told her it wouldn't work out. Eleanor Vance from our neighborhood had joined the conversation, along with another woman I recognized. Mother Anya seemed energized by her growing audience. "The problem is she has no ambition," she continued, warming to her theme. "She could have done anything with her education, but she chose the easy path. Teaching, living at home, dating men with no prospects. She embarrasses me in front of others." The words hit me like a physical blow. After years of this treatment, after months of growing awareness of its profound wrongness, after losing Noah because I couldn't shield him from this toxicity, something inside me finally snapped. My hands began to shake, my heart hammered against my ribs. I felt like I stood on a precipice, with a choice: retreat into the familiar abyss, or leap into the terrifying unknown. The fellowship hall seemed to slow around me. I saw Elder Maeve's kind, concerned face, the other women's expressions ranging from discomfort to morbid curiosity, and my mother's satisfied smirk as she held her captive audience. And for the first time in my life, I found my voice. "Then stop introducing me as your daughter." The words sliced through the ambient murmur, clear and strong, leaving a stunned silence in their wake. Elder Maeve's eyes widened. Eleanor Vance gasped. The woman I didn't know well took a step back. Mother Anya's face cycled through confusion, shock, and then a simmering rage. But for the first time, her reaction meant nothing. I felt as if I were truly breathing for the first time in years. "Excuse me," Mother Anya said, her voice tight with controlled fury. "You heard me," I replied, my voice steadier than I ever imagined possible. "If I embarrass you so much, stop claiming me as family. Stop introducing me to people just so you can tear me down in front of them. I'm done being your showcase of disappointment." The silence in our corner was deafening. Other conversations faltered as heads turned. Father Julian appeared at my elbow, his coffee cup trembling. "Alara," he said quietly, a note of something I couldn't quite place, perhaps pride in his voice. I set my coffee cup down and walked toward the exit. Behind me, the murmur of voices began again, the sounds of damage control. But I didn't look back. In the parking lot, sitting in my car with the engine running, I felt a sensation I hadn't known in years, freedom. The drive home was an eternity. Mother Anya sat vibrating with barely controlled rage. Father Julian drove in silence. The tension was suffocating. But beneath my fear, something new and powerful pulsed, the knowledge that I had finally stood up for myself. "How dare you?" Mother Anya exploded the moment we were through the front door. "How dare you embarrass me like that in front of the entire church? Elder Maeve will tell everyone. Do you realize what you've done to our reputation?" For once, Father Julian didn't retreat. He stood in the living room doorway, watching Mother Anya pace, building momentum for her inevitable tirade about my disrespect and ingratitude. "You ungrateful, selfish girl," she railed. "After everything I've done for you, after letting you live in this house rent-free, this is how you repay me? By humiliating me in public." Something about letting you live in this house triggered a response I didn't expect. Instead of shrinking, instead of apologizing, my newfound strength solidified. "Everything you've done for me?" I repeated, my voice calm but firm. "You mean like telling Eleanor Vance at the grocery store that my clothes are inappropriate? Like explaining to Noah's parents that we're doomed to failure because we're both teachers? Like announcing to Uncle Ben's family that I'm a disappointment compared to Valerie?" "I was being honest," she snapped. "Someone needs to help you see reality." "No," I said, surprised by the unwavering steadiness of my voice. "You were being cruel. There's a difference between helpful honesty and public humiliation." Father Julian cleared his throat from the doorway. "Ilara's right, Anya." We both turned to stare at him. In 30 years of marriage, I had never heard my father directly contradict my mother about anything significant. "What did you say?" Mother Anya asked, her voice dangerously quiet. "I said Ilara's right," Father Julian repeated, stepping further into the room. "I've watched you tear her down in public for years, and I should have said something long ago. What happened at church today needed to happen. You're taking her side," Mother Anya accused, as if this were the ultimate betrayal. "I'm taking the side of basic human decency," Father Julian replied. "Ilara is a wonderful person with a job she loves and students who adore her. She doesn't deserve to be criticized constantly, especially not in front of other people." This was clearly not the backup Mother Anya had anticipated. She turned back to me with renewed fury. "If you think you can just walk all over me in my own house, you're mistaken. Maybe it's time for you to find somewhere else to live." The threat, which would have terrified me even a week ago, now felt like an invitation. "Actually," I said, reaching into my purse for the folder I'd been carrying for days, "I've been looking at apartments. Here's what I need from you. Either we go to family counseling together and you learn to treat me with basic respect, or I move out by the end of the month." I laid out the apartment listings, the budget, the timeline. Mother Anya's eyes widened as she realized this was no empty threat, no emotional outburst. This was a plan. "You can't be serious," she said, her voice faltering. "I'm completely serious," I replied. "I won't live like this anymore. I won't be your emotional punching bag, and I won't let you humiliate me. Those are my terms." What happened next, I had never witnessed. My mother broke down. Not the angry tears of frustration I'd seen before, but deep, wrenching sobs that seemed to come from a place she usually kept locked away. "I don't know how to do this," she cried, collapsing into Father Julian's armchair. "I don't know how to be different. My mother did the same thing to me, and her mother did it to her. I thought I was helping you be better." Father Julian moved to her side, truly looking at her, perhaps for the first time in years. "Anya," he said gently, "what your mother did to you is wrong. What you're doing to Ilara is wrong. But it's not too late to change." The conversation that followed was unlike anything our family had ever known. Mother Anya spoke of her own childhood, of constant criticism, of being compared to her siblings, of never feeling good enough for her own mother's approval. She spoke of her fear that I would leave her, just as her siblings had cut contact with their mother rather than endure constant judgment. "I thought if I kept pointing out problems, you'd fix them and be happier," she sobbed. "But you weren't protecting me," I said, sitting across from her. You were destroying my confidence and my relationships. You pushed Noah away. You made me ashamed of my career. You made me feel like I was never good enough for anything." Father Julian shared his perspective, speaking of years of watching our dynamic, not knowing how to intervene. "I knew it was wrong," he admitted, "but I didn't know how to help either of you. I thought if I stayed out of it, things would work themselves out. Well, they didn't," I stated. "They got worse. And now we have to decide if we want to fix this, or if I need to build my life somewhere else." The ultimatum hung heavy in the air. Mother Anya looked at the apartment, listings spread on the coffee table, then at Father Julian, then at me. "What would counseling involve?" she asked quietly. "Learning new ways to communicate," I said. "Learning about boundaries and respect. Learning how to have a relationship that doesn't involve constant criticism." She was quiet for a long time. Finally, she nodded. "I'll try," she said. "I don't want to lose you. I just don't know how to be different." "Then we'll learn together," I replied. The phone began to ring almost immediately. Word of the church incident was spreading. Elder Maeve called first, and to my surprise, asked to speak directly to me. "Ilara," she said, "I wanted you to know that several of us were proud of you today. What you did took courage, and it was long overdue." Other calls followed, some supportive, others critical of my disrespect. But for the first time, I didn't care about managing other people's opinions. I had found my voice, and I wasn't going to lose it again. Months later, I sit in Dr. Anya Sharma's office with my parents for our weekly family therapy session. The woman who broke down in our living room that December afternoon is still there, but she is learning to build something new, brick by painful brick, alongside the pattern she's trying to break. The work has been arduous. The initial sessions were brutal, Mother Anya oscillating between defensive anger and guilty tears as Dr. Sharma gently, persistently helped her recognize the impact of her behavior. There were moments I thought she might quit, that the discomfort of examining decades-old patterns would be too much. But during our fourth session, Dr. Sharma asked a simple question. "Anya, how did it feel when your own mother criticized you in front of others?" The pain on Mother Anya's face was immediate and raw. "Horrible," she whispered. "Like I could never do anything right. Like I was disappointing her just by existing." "And how do you think Ilara felt when you did the same thing to her?" The connection was impossible to deny. Mother Anya looked at me across the small office space, and for the first time, I saw real understanding in her eyes. My individual therapy sessions with Dr. Lena Costa have been equally transformative. She's helped me understand the profound impact of growing up with constant criticism, how it shaped my self-esteem and relationships. We've worked on building boundaries, recognizing my own worth, and trusting my instincts about what I deserve from the people in my life. Glass highlights a crucial insight. Vulnerability is often mistaken for weakness. However, it requires immense courage to be vulnerable and set boundaries. This truth has become my anchor. The changes at home, though gradual, are significant. Mother Anya still catches herself before making critical comments, and she is learning to apologize when old patterns resurface. Just recently, when I told her about receiving recognition for my work with struggling readers, her first response was, "That's wonderful, honey. I'm proud of you." The words felt foreign coming from her, but genuinely meant. Father Julian has become a more active participant in our family dynamic. Marriage counseling has helped him find his voice in supporting me and in helping Mother Anya change. He's learning to speak up instead of retreating. My professional life continues to flourish. Principal Eris approached me about an assistant principal position opening next year. The idea of leadership now feels exciting, not terrifying, no longer systematically destroyed each evening. And my relationship with Ethan is entirely different from my journey with Noah. When I told him about my family situation and the therapeutic work we're doing, his response was supportive, not scared. "Everyone deserves to be treated with respect," he said simply. "I'm glad you're creating that for yourself." The real test came when I brought Ethan to Sunday dinner for the first time. I watched Mother Anya carefully, ready to intervene. Instead, she asked him thoughtful questions about his work, complimented the wine he brought, and later, actually bragged to my aunt on the phone about what a lovely young man I was dating. Church has also transformed. Elder Maeve has become a genuine friend, and several other church members have shared their own stories about difficult family dynamics. My moment of defiance seems to have given others permission to examine their own boundaries. As another GLASP highlight reminds us, boundaries are not about pushing people away. They're about clearly defining what is acceptable and what is not in your relationships, thereby fostering healthier connections. The most powerful change, however, has been in how I see myself. The confident teacher who thrived at Maplewood Elementary no longer vanishes when I walk through my family's front door. I know my worth now and I protect it fiercely. When Mother Anya occasionally slips back into critical comments, I address them immediately instead of absorbing them silently. Mother, I'll say calmly, that's not helpful or appropriate. Can you rephrase that in a more respectful way? And increasingly, she can. The woman who once doubled down on criticism when challenged now stops, thinks, and tries again. It isn't perfect, but it's progress that feels real and sustainable. Dr. Sharma says our family is doing the arduous work of breaking generational patterns. Mother Anya's mother criticized her constantly, and her grandmother did the same. The cycle felt inevitable until we chose to interrupt it with intentional change. Christmas dinner was a revelation. Instead of the tense gathering I'd come to expect, there was genuine conversation and laughter. Mother Anya complimented my sweet potato casserole instead of suggesting improvements. She asked Ethan about his family with real interest, not probing for inadequacies. When Valerie and Dr. Alex Chin visited, Mother Anya managed to celebrate their engagement without using it as an opportunity to criticize my life choices. Father Julian carved the turkey, humming carols. Ethan helped with dishes, charming everyone with stories. I looked around the table and felt something I hadn't experienced in years, genuine enjoyment of my family's company. The lesson I've learned is that sometimes loving someone means refusing to accept their treatment of you. For years, I thought being a good daughter meant absorbing Mother Anya's criticism without complaint, that my job was to make her happy by becoming her ideal. But real love requires mutual respect. It demands seeing each other as whole people, deserving of kindness and consideration. It requires the courage to speak up when someone you care about is hurting you, even if speaking up feels dangerous. I am not the same person who stood silently in grocery stores while her mother discussed her failures with neighbors. I am not the same person who lost a good relationship because she couldn't protect her partner from family toxicity. I am not the same person who measured her worth by her mother's approval. I am Alara, a teacher who makes a profound difference in children's lives every day. A woman learning to trust her own judgment about what she deserves. I am someone who has learned that you can love your family while refusing to accept unacceptable behavior from them. The journey isn't over. Therapy continues. Boundaries require constant maintenance, and old patterns try to resurface during times of stress. But I know now that I have a voice, and I know how to use it. I know that my worth isn't determined by someone else's opinion of my choices, even if that someone is my mother. Most importantly, I know that speaking up for yourself isn't selfish or disrespectful. It's necessary. It's the foundation of every healthy relationship, including the one you have with yourself.